talking about the first ever 12-team college football playoffs. And man, it was disappointing to say the least. To start off on that Friday night, you had Indiana and Notre Dame to play. Obviously, the score is not indicative of how the game looked. Notre Dame came out on top 27-17. I think at one point, Notre Dame was up like 27-3. And then Indiana came back and finally was able to put something together in the last 6 minutes of the game. Saturday, the 11 a.m. kick, Penn State beats SMU 38-10. And then in the 2:30 slot, Texas beats Clemson 38-24. And then in the nightcap, Ohio State wins 42-17. All of the home teams won. And then I think every game except for the Texas game, temperatures were extremely cold. And a lot of the teams that came out decided to warm up with no shirts on. I guess to show that, it ain't cold. We good. We ain't worried about none of the elements or nothing like that. But these games sucked. I can't lie. This was very underwhelming. It's very seldom that I myself get an opportunity. I can't speak for Elijah all the time, but I rarely get to sit down for a full Saturday and just be like, let me watch from 11 to the 7 o'clock game. And I sat down and got me some food, and I was just like, okay, SMU, I'm not surprised terribly by this. Maybe that middle game, Texas and Clemson, I'm like, Texas came out there, BTA, and then at night game, Ohio State came out there and BTA. And man, just a lot of disappointment, Elijah, what was your thoughts on these games? And Lane Kiffin got out and said that, the committee basically got this wrong and all that stuff like that. But what do you think of this past weekend's college football first round playoff games?
I don't think Lane Kiffin is right. I mean, I don't think he got it wrong, but I do think this. I do think this. Is it the first round that we all wanted to see? Absolutely not. You know, the teams that were out with the Alabamas, the Ole Miss, they had a chance to control their destinies. They didn't control it very well, and that left us. You know what? I'm gonna say this: Alabama, this is your fault. Ole Miss, this is your fault. LSU, this is your fault. Because if we was trying to find some entertainment, which could have been there, and you guys handled business how you supposed to handle business, we wouldn't have seen SMU, wouldn't have seen Indiana, and we wouldn't have probably seen Tennessee. So what I'm telling you right now is that this is your fault because we look forward to the first round because it was the first ever, and the first ever was the worst ever because we didn't want to see that. We didn't want to see those outcomes. Now I think the second round will be more, more well played out. Besides one matchup, I think everybody else will have, well-rounded games because Georgia and Notre Dame, I think, will be great. I think Oregon and Ohio State with the second, their second round matchup, second time meeting this season, I think that would be great. Um, I think Arizona State, they're playing. I think Arizona State is playing. Who's Arizona State playing?
Arizona State is facing off with Texas, which,
Texas. I think.
man, I don't know about that
I
one.
think. I think that'll be better than what people think because I like Arizona State's coach. I think he can coach up, scheme up some things. I'm not a big fan of Steve Sarkisian. I think he has the most talented team, but I don't think he's a great coach. But then you got Boise State and Penn State, which I don't see lasting more than a quarter. So I think we have a better slate of second round games. But this one is far more disappointing. I didn't like any of it because it wasn't competitive. I'm not saying those teams didn't belong there. It just wasn't what we thought would be how the college football playoffs should start off, especially for the first time that we ever tuned into it. So that's it.
Yeah, man. Like I said, you look at the Indiana and Notre Dame game, and God, like at the expense of Notre Dame fans attacking for what I'm about to say, man. Like I've never put on a Notre Dame game in my entire life and said, "Man, this is exciting. This is electrifying offense." It's always okay. Notre Dame won the game, and that's how it was. Indiana kind of was just there. It was a moment in the game. I believe it was like a 4th and 11. Um, what is the Indiana's coach, Carnelli or something like that. And people were saying like, why didn't he go for it? Because they couldn't get anything going and they were essentially down. And I think in post game he said that our defense couldn't stop anything or something like that. He was saying it's just a whole bunch of like rough things in this one, you know. Then you turn around and like I said, the 11 o'clock game, SMU, after having one of their best performances, even though they lost in the ACC championship, they come out and have one of their worst performances at the worst time that you could possibly have it. Is when you are win and go home. And Penn State, played extremely well. They did what they needed to do to come out on top and get the victory, a 28-point victory at that. Texas and Clemson, like score-wise, it had the most excitement for sure. But you could clearly tell that Texas was just the better team in this one. And then Ohio State and Tennessee, they did unheard of things to them. Tennessee just didn't look prepared. They didn't look they didn't look like they deserved to be there. They had earned the right to be in that position, but they didn't look like they deserved it to be there because the fight that they put up just didn't cut it. And people will say that weather doesn't make a factor into it, and in most cases it doesn't until you make it a mental thing. Because I had a coach tell me a long time ago that most of this game is 90% mental. I think the aspect of going out with the no t-shirt on and all that stuff like that, like you're making it a thing mentally in your head of trying to prove it's not cold. Like, bro, who cares if it's cold or not? Go play the game. Go play the game. Because at the end of the day, if you a real athlete and you really know, once you get out there and your adrenaline is pumping, you're gonna start sweating. You might not sweat as much, but your body is gonna warm up. You're still gonna have some kind of body heat. The only time that you get cold is when you get back over to the sideline. So don't worry about all the. Stop taking your t-shirt off and doing all this stuff. All right, go out there and play the game. I get the message that you're trying to send, but when you get into these mental mind games of trying to show your opponent that we're not scared of the environment, bro, they don't care. Obviously, all the cold weather. Penn State didn't care. Ohio State didn't care. Like none of those teams cared. It's cold. Yeah, let's play ball. Put the ball down, line up and play. So hopefully, the next week, the quarterfinal round will be a lot better. The first one will be Tuesday, December 31st, as Boise State and Penn State will play in the Fiesta Bowl at 6:30. And then the following day on New Year's Day, Arizona State and Texas go at it at noon on ESPN in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which that is always my favorite bowl game because Chick-fil-A goes above and beyond to prove that they are the title sponsor with the amount of food that they give out to the working media. Shout out to Chick-fil-A. The 4:00 slotted game, Oregon and Ohio State. That should be a really good one and a rematch. That one will be at 4 on ESPN, and then the night game at 7:45. These might be Eastern times that I'm reading, but the night game will be Georgia and Notre Dame, where Notre Dame has an opportunity to finally get the haters out of their ear and prove to them we can compete with the big dogs. Literally, you're facing off with the dogs, and you got a chance to face off with them. That one will be in the Sugar Bowl. Oregon and Ohio State will be in the Rose Bowl. So hopefully we get a whole lot better action in those matchups.
Hope so, man.
Hope so, because I would cut the TV off. Like, and this is no slight to any women's basketball, but I completely changed because I had like the YouTube TV dual screens and all this stuff like that. So I had women's basketball, the UConn and USC game up with the Tennessee Ohio State game. I took that off. I said, let me just look at women's basketball because this is way better than what I'm looking at on the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Fitz Take podcast. Be sure to like this video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. And remember, every episode of the Fitz Take podcast will air right here on the YouTube channel every Monday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.